We're back, people. What is up? Going over kind of the future outlook of Miami Dolphins, talking some draft. What's up, troll? All our expectations shattered in just a few weeks. Yeah, to be fair, my expectations were kind of shattered after week one. If you take week one out of the equation, I guess, the team has at least been competitive. The week one game was horrible. But I guess after that, the Dolphins just couldn't pull off the close wins, unfortunately. And at least if they won one of those, could have been a different day. But yeah, thank you guys for being in here. Gonna talk some drafts, some Dolphins, kind of what to keep an eye on for the rest of the season. You never know what's gonna happen. Obviously, the expectations are low. I'm still gonna be going to games hoping for wins. Talk about what could happen if the Dolphins do have a top pick, where this kind of draft class is at. Dolphins in a weird spot also. Just as a team, like in the future, are in the immediate presence. Don't have a nickel on the roster. They literally don't have this nickel. They just put Cornell Armstrong on IR. Marshall was put on IR last week. I don't think they have a single nickel, so I think they're going to run all the 3 safety sets. I know they said today they're going to add one, but even then, who would they add? That could instantly play. I guess they could put Ethan Bonner in the nickel, but he's never played that in a Dolphins uniform, so I don't know if that's a possibility. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing Juju Brents, Ethan Bonner getting, some potential work. That's something. And then we'll talk about players. Okay, so these are the next 2 film breakdowns that I'm making. And it's 2 players specifically that I think need to play more. For sure. I don't know why they're not playing more. And it's crazy how many injuries we occur. Yeah, we have so many injuries. I'm pretty sure we lead the league in how many players we have on IR. Of course, that's a staple for Miami. But there's 2 players. So tomorrow I'm making a Jordan Phillips film breakdown, and then Friday I will make a Chop Robinson film breakdown. And those are 2 players that need to play more. I don't think it's a coincidence that Jordan Phillips' snap percentage dropped the last 2 weeks, and that's the worst 2 games you've had versus the run. Really bad performances versus the run, and Jordan Phillips played his least amount of snaps. And it's not like Jordan Phillips was playing at a crazy high level or anything. It's just he was clearly your most consistent defensive tackle versus the run, which is kind of crazy, So that's where I'm sort of. Bo Nix, Drake May, and Bryce Young have surpassed Tua. Drake May, I would agree with. The other 2, I don't. I think Bo Nix has been pretty bad this year, and then Bryce Young just beat Miami, but I thought Tua played better than Bryce Young in that game. Bryce Young just had a 200-yard rusher. But yeah, so Jordan Phillips needs to play more. Has been at least a solid run defender. All your other defensive tackles have been bad run defenders, all of them. So I think Jordan Phillips needs to play more. He would only play 30% of the snaps the last 2 weeks. So I think that's just unacceptable. It's at least got to get bumped up to around 50, because the Dolphins need to stop the run. Their defense has no chance right now without this run defense. You have no chance to even try to rush the passer. They can't get anything going because of their run defense, and it's everyone. It's poor discipline. It's getting blown off the ball. We'll talk a little bit about Kenneth Grant, but it goes beyond Grant, because even Sealer, I'm seeing Sealer get blown off the ball 7 yards, and it's I've never seen that before. Benito Jones, Matthew Butler not playing good either. They're actually Butler's been just as bad versus the run as Grant. So that's a problem. And then Tyrell Dodson, I don't even know what Tyrell Dodson's doing most of the time. His discipline's horrible. Jordan Brooks has been inconsistent, but at least he's made some positive plays. I've seen some people hating on Jordan Brooks. I'm no, Jordan Brooks is one of the only people out there at least trying to make some plays, and he's in a very difficult spot because of how bad the D-line is playing the run. So I know Jordan Brooks can be better. Yeah, the coaching's been a problem. I think coaching's the biggest problem defensively. There's only so much blame that I know those players are more talented than what they're showing. Every single one on the defensive line I know is more talented than what they're playing, and I think if it's every single player either regressing or playing under expectations on the front 7, it's hard to just be a player thing, when it's all of them. But yeah, and then Chop Robinson. Why is Chop Robinson playing 30% of the snaps? I get it. He got injured, a few weeks ago and was playing little snaps. Now he's not on the injury report. Now he looks completely healthy when he is playing. He only played 19 snaps last week versus the Panthers. 7 of those versus the run. And in his 7 run defensive snaps, he had 2 run stops. Like, I know Chop's not known for being a great run defender, but like he's playing decent run defense when he's out there, at least in comparison to some of the other, like Bradley Chubb playing horrible run defense. Jalen Phillips has been, I would say, all right. He's been a better pass rusher than a run defender. But like, at least, Chop had some run stops and had 2 of them on 7 snaps. And then I believe the longest run they had on the field when he was on the field was 12 yards, and then all the other ones were single digits. And you got to think how many other ones went for so much longer. So I think that's just, crazy that Jordan Phillips, and definitely Chop Robinson's not playing more. I can't explain that one. I know they have like a new outside linebackers coach, and, the rotation's been a little messed up. But with where the Dolphins are at, we know if the season ends, they should start trading players, Wouldn't be surprised if they trade any of those edges in front of Chop to get Chop on the field. Ideally, it would be Chubb for me, because I think Phillips is a good player. But also, if they do trade Phillips, it's a possibility he's a free agent after the year. We don't even know if he would be re-signed. But yeah. When Jordan is on the field, and the difference is he actually plays better according to when he plays without Sealer. Yeah, Sealer's had, I don't know what's up with Sealer. The Sealer thing is very hard to explain, because I know people will be like, well, he played next to Calais and he played next to Christian Wilkins, and I'm sure that definitely helped him. But there's snaps that are happening where he's getting blown off the ball. It doesn't matter who he's playing next to you. You're getting blown off the ball in a one-on-one block. I've never seen that happen before. It doesn't matter the defensive tackle that's playing the 3-tech on the other side. I've never seen him lose reps like this. So there's definitely some clear regression. I do think as a pass rusher, it makes sense that maybe he's not as productive, because he's really good at the twist and stunts. And really the only defensive tackle that has had some successful stunts with him is Grant. And they've limited Grant's snaps because Grant's kind of struggled as a run defender. But that one's been unexplainable to me. I don't understand it, because I think it's partially to do. But even last year when Calais was on the team, Calais was only playing half the snaps. Sealer was still playing really well when Calais wasn't on the field. So I don't know. There's just got to be some regression there. It's maybe some coaching issue. That one I genuinely can't explain. I truly don't know what's going on there. Because you still see the positives from Sealer. There's still reps where Sealer will blow into the backfield. It's just way less consistent. Coach Priest said in pressure that you're signing a Nichols, CB, so you have any idea who? They worked out 3 Nichols yesterday, didn't they? But they were not very big names. It was Daquan Hardy, who's I believe a Penn State rookie nickel. Ethan Robinson, who was a UDFA for us this offseason. But even if those nickels they worked out, would they really thrust them into playing time? I feel they're just gonna play a lot of 3 safety looks, and if anything, just try Ethan Bonner in the nickel. Ethan Bonner, I would like to see Ethan Bonner and Juju Brents play, because they're also young players that could potentially play better than what you're having. Because last week Rasul Douglas and Jack Jones struggled quite a bit. I think Douglas has played pretty solid overall. Other than that, and then Jack Jones had a good game versus the Jets, but other than that, he's had his struggles for sure. So that is definitely something to keep notice of. But yeah, what else can we just talk about? Yeah, so talk about Phillips and Chop. Keep an eye out for the Phillips and Chop video, because those guys need to play more. I don't know why they're not. It makes no sense to me. Jordan Phillips has been your most consistent run defender. And then Chop, it'd be oh, you don't play Chop because he's not the run defender edge, but he's actually made more run stops and less snaps than Chubb. Like last week, he had 2 run stops and looked at least healthy. And in his pass rush, he's still getting limited pass rush opportunities, but I can tell that Chop is close there. Then let's go over Kenneth Grant, because we've had a lot of talk of Kenneth Grant this week. Because he definitely needs to play better. Let me get out that right away. Kenneth Grant is struggling, specifically versus the run, is really struggling. But I also do think that it is a coaching thing, because I think everyone else around him is struggling. So I think it's just a combination. It's made things worse. I think his problems versus the run are very fixable, because I think it's mostly a technique issue. He's playing with too high a pad level, and then I think just getting the speed of the game and understanding run concepts. Those are things he needs to improve upon. Because I think from an athletic and physical perspective, I I would actually like to see him one gap more. The Dolphins ask him to like 1.5 gap or 2 gaps, so like hold his own at a point of attack. I actually think he's better when he's allowed to penetrate, because you see it as a pass rusher. Like when he gets his one-on-one pass rushes, you can see like, oh, he can create push on an offensive lineman. I think as a pass rusher, he looks closer. Like I'm like, oh, if he gets a little bit better of a feel, they let him unleash a little bit, because sometimes they like force him to stay in his rush lane, or he gets like a slant where like he's not trying to win to another side. I think if they give him a little more freedom as a pass rusher and he starts to throw a little more moves, I could actually see him having some pass rush success. Like I think if you're trying to project to the future, I can see the pass rush for Kenneth Grant improving this season. The run defense stuff, I think that's more of a long-term thing that you're going to have to fix with him. So hopefully that can happen. I still do believe in Grant. I'm not going to call him a bust. I've had people telling me like you should call him a bust. You shouldn't be calling anyone a bust after 5 games. Unless you like believed when they drafted him, you thought like, oh, I don't like him, he's a bust, then you can still believe that. But I didn't believe that. I always thought Grant was going to be on like a Chop type trajectory, which is still a possibility because Chop didn't do it until like middle of the season. So like I can't remember, it was like week 8 or 9 or something like that last year. So I guess that's still a possibility. I hope that happens. I'm not guaranteeing it will, but I do think you will see. Like I have more faith in Grant right now than I do Jonah. I think Grant's issues are very fixable and can be potentially see growth within this season. I think Jonah, if he sees growth, it will be more of like a second year bump, similarly to maybe Patrick Paul, but I saw more flashes from Paul last year than I've seen from Jonah. The pass pro has been really rough. I know, he's playing left side, which, gives him a little bit of grace, but even then, like, I don't know if him going to the right side would change that much. And also another thing with Jonah, technique is really poor, and it's like leading, like when you look at the film, like he doesn't play like an elite athlete, like how he tested. Like I never, even in college, I didn't think he was an elite athlete on the film. And then like, I'm like, oh, he tested really well. I'm like, you can see it sometimes when he's like maybe running out in space full speed, but like, I just feel like there's like a lack of foot quickness, taking yourself out of position, poor hands. The hands is a huge issue for Jonah right now. Like the timing and placement. I also think, the right side of the O-line being down definitely does not help him, because they are sliding protection to the right side a little more often to help out guys like Cole Strange, help out Larry Borum. So Jonah is being left isolated a little bit more than you probably would like, and that has hurt him. Then the other rookies, I think I would like to see Dante Trader play more. He's another player that I think should play more. The other safeties other than Minka have not played well. I think Minka's been solid. Minka's been one of more your consistent defenders, hasn't been like a huge detriment to the team, but sometimes when you're the only safety back there playing okay, it's hard to make a huge impact because you kind of just got to do your job and you don't get targeted a lot. But I would like to see Trader play more, because I think Trader's at least a very willing tackler. He'll have some misses, but I would like to see more willing tacklers on the back end. And he's only playing like 10 to 12 snaps per game, so I would like to see that more. Watching Brewers sack 2 was just common. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I don't ever agree with hoping the team loses, but who do you think we can realistically be with the run defense and rush? I mean, in my opinion, I think a lot of the games are winnable. Like the next 3, I think are all winnable, to be honest. Because if you think about it, the Dolphins, the last 3 weeks versus the Bills, the Jets, and the Panthers had horrible run defense, about as bad as it can get, right? Like it can't really get worse than the run defense has been the last 3 weeks. And you were very close in all 3 of those games. You were close with the Bills, you beat the Jets, and then you lost a game you never should have lost to the Panthers, and they ran probably the best against you out of all the teams. So if the run defense improves slightly, which I mean it has to at some point, right? Like the run defense can't continue to be this bad, or it'll be like historically bad season. And I'm not saying it's going to improve and be like great or anything but I think it could improve at least a tiny bit. Those games are all winnable. Like I think the Chargers, like right now, this is the best chance. Like the Chargers are going to be a tough team to beat because, they have a good coaching. I think Herbert's a good quarterback. But right now, their O-line is decimated. This is the best chance the Dolphins defensive front has to like have a get back right game. Like teams have get back right games against Miami's. Like this is what Miami needs right now, and hopefully they can have a get back game, and maybe that can build some confidence, because the Chargers O-line is bad right now, like really bad. So I think this is their best chance to have a positive performance against an O-line. So that would be nice. I don't know what will happen, but like next 3 games are winnable. And then they also play like a lot of their games left in the season are winnable, but they're also all losable. So I don't know. I think the Dolphins' record's still pretty up in the air at this point. Kind of just depends on their mental, I think, how they can, if they can bounce back or not. But yeah, we'll see. And then, to the draft, the Dolphins, I think, currently have like the 4th pick going into this draft, which is, it could, change. Obviously, it's still a long way to go. I've been starting to watch this draft class. I'm looking at things like, look at things that translate to the next level. Like this is a good example right here. When it comes to watching, if you guys are starting to watch, and it's something to just keep in mind. Now, this is a receivers thing, and receivers are the biggest need for Miami, but I just want to use this as an example because if you look at the top 5 receivers right now in receiving yards in the league, it's Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Justin Jefferson, Emeka Egbuka, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. None of those guys are like crazy physical specimens. Like Puka Nacua's got some pretty good size, but not like crazy size. He's not the greatest athlete. Same with JSN, like sort of middling in size, not the greatest athlete. Jefferson's taller, but not the biggest guy, pretty good athlete. Egbuka, like middle of the pack and everything. Same with Amon-Ra St. Brown, but they're very good technicians. They know how to get open versus man in zone. They're very friendly wide receivers. Like these are things that you got to start to look for. Like, oh, those are the top guys. There's some people in the draft like Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon that are sort of those types of receivers that I would think would translate. So like, same thing with tight end. Like tight end is a position I feel like I've been very on point with in the draft. Like probably more on. I've probably been better at projecting tight ends recently in years than maybe any other position. Like last year, I knew Tyler Warren would be better right away than Colston Loveland because like Loveland can still be a good receiver. Are a good like receiving tight end, and I still think he will develop. But I knew Warren would be better right away because Warren has the skill set that translates instantly. He's got the physicality, good athlete. Yak is very important, ability to play as an inline blocker. That's why Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon is going to be a very good tight end at the NFL level. If you guys watch him, Kenyon Sadiq, I will probably make a video on him pretty soon. Elite athlete that has Yak ability and has like nasty blocks, like some of the best blocks you'll see, man. So yeah, those are the guys to talk about when it comes to translating, because that's something I think people have problems with, and it's something like I've had problems with when I first was starting to watch the draft, is what translates to the next level at each position, especially quickly, and there's also some positions that don't usually translate quickly, and the ones that do translate quickly, they have very specific traits. And then like sometimes when you take a chance on guys, they have to develop. It comes down to coaching, and there's not a lot of great coaching. Time to play all the young guys, bench Tua and see what you have in yours. I wouldn't bench Tua. I would play a lot of the young guys, but like I wouldn't bench Tua. Like if you're at the end of the season and like you're completely out of it, you could play Ewers, but I don't like Tua's like you don't want to give up on the season. Like if you bench Tua, you've truly given up on the season. And there's no way like McDaniel is going to do that with his job on the line, I want to see more Phillips and Biggers. Yeah, I would like to see more Phillips. Zeke Biggers, like I wouldn't mind seeing him get some more snaps, but like I think he would also have problems with versus the run because he's another guy that plays with high pad level, and I've seen him get pushed off the ball. Even in preseason, he got pushed off the ball a few times. So I think that would give him some problems, but I wouldn't mind seeing him get some development at some point. I've seen a QB. Tua is not and never will be the answer for us long-term at quarterback. Yeah, so I do think Tua is a good NFL quarterback. I truly believe that. I think he's shown that the past couple of weeks. He's been good for us. He's been one of the bigger positives. But that doesn't mean, like, I do think the Dolphins should still be looking at quarterback in the next draft class. I think they're just in that position. I think you're very likelihood to start over. And sometimes you just need a change. Like, Tua will go to another team and, be fine wherever he goes. But even, like, I don't know how this, rest of the season will play out. There's so much that can change. But the Dolphins still have to look at a quarterback next year. It has to at least be in discussion in first round. And there actually is guys that I like. Like, going into the season, a lot of the people that maybe people were looking at did not step up. But there are some guys I really like. The only problem is I don't know if these guys will declare. I think one of them will declare, and the other three, because I said I have four here that I really like. 3 of them I have no idea if they'll declare. Now I think it depends on how the rest of the college season plays out. The other one I think will declare. So I would give McDaniel a chance to pick his QBs. No, I can't with Tua, in my opinion. I think for me, like, I'm looking at it like this. So if the Dolphins fire just McDaniel and keep Greer, I think that's insane. I think that's genuinely insane. If you fire McDaniel, you have to fire Greer. I think you would have to do a complete reset. Like, you would need to do a complete reset at that point. Now, I do think there's a world where I would be okay if they fired Greer but kept McDaniel. Like, I do think at some point, like, I do think McDaniel can be good. I think he has good qualities. I don't think he's just a complete, like, horrible coach like some people think. But I also kind of, like, I do believe in the concept of, like, completely starting over. So, like, if you are going to completely start over, I think, you know, sometimes it's just not working out with this team and you need a complete reset. Like, I'm not against that. I'm not a believer of just hire a former head coach just for it. Because I see everyone saying that, like, the Dolphins need to hire a former head coach, someone who's been a head coach before. I don't think they need to do that. I don't think you just need to go in the complete opposite direction because it didn't work the opposite way. I think you can go and hire someone that's just the best for the job. Now, that ends up being someone who was a former head coach, then so be it. But, like, the ones that are out there as options right now, like John Gruden, Mike McCarthy, I saw the Rex Ryan report. I am not interested in those guys at all. Like, none of those guys intrigue me in the tiny bit. Like, none of those guys have been successful head coaches in, like, over a decade. Now, some of the guys, like, if Harbaugh got fired from the Ravens or Tomlin got fired, now those guys would be intriguing to me. That I could get behind. But this is also why QB is interesting, because we don't know who the head coach will be. If they are looking for quarterback, if McDaniel's the head coach, then you probably get put into the more, there's a couple guys I could see him preferring. Now, if you have a new head coach, it can be anyone. I'm going to go with my personal favorite apps as of right now. So let's get into the draft discussion. We're going to start discussing the draft more and more, especially if the Dolphins continue to lose. We're getting closer to, being kind of out of it. Like, I will still obviously continue for them to keep rooting for them to win. And if they do win, then I would be obviously very happy with that. But yeah, so quarterbacks that I think the Dolphins, if they're picking at the top, at least have to consider. My personal favorite is Dante Moore from Oregon. And I think he's just the one that has kind of everything I'm looking for. One, he is still very young, so like I think he's a guy that has a pretty good floor. I think that Penn State game showed when like everything around him wasn't super good. He didn't have to he had tough competition. The game wasn't perfect. I think that Penn State game showed that he's a pretty high floor. Like I think he can be a high floor player. And then I also think he's got high upside. Like he's still 20 years old. This is really his first successful season. He played as a freshman at UCLA, then took a year off. He's a redshirt sophomore. That's why we don't know if he'll declare or not, So, yeah, I like Dante Moore from Oregon. I think he's got great poise. He's a good athlete, got good arm talent. He can make plays on script and off script. That's very important to me. Like, I know people want to go in like the complete opposite direction of Tua, like with, size, arm strength, athleticism. To me, out of those, I prefer athleticism. I think athleticism is much more important than, I don't think you need to be like a crazy huge guy to be successful at the NFL level. I don't think you need to have crazy arm strength and be successful. And Dante Moore, he's got decent enough size. He's got a good enough arm, like with his great athleticism. I think that's great. And I think he's got poise. I think he's shown way better ability this year to play on time and rhythm. He can do the QB stuff. That's very important to me. You have to be able to do that. Can make plays under pressure. That's very, very nice. I'm very high on him as of this moment. I think that Penn State game very solidified it for me. I just don't know if he'll declare. So I really like Dante Moore. He's probably my current favorite as of right now. What are your thoughts on Mendoza? Good point, because that gets into my second favorite. So going into this year, I had no thoughts on Dante Moore. I didn't even know, because he hadn't played since his freshman year at UCLA, where he struggled a lot. So I didn't really see Dante Moore as a prospect. Fernando Mendoza was actually probably my favorite sleeper going into the year. I actually even made a bet on Mendoza because his odds were like plus 6,000 to be the first overall pick. I bet on that to happen, and now his odds are like plus 500. So I was a big Mendoza fan last year, and he's been very solid for Indiana. I think he's got a lot of traits you look for. He's someone I could see Mike really liking. I think Mike would like both these guys. if McDaniel was a coach. But like he's got good size and arm talent. He's got good torque, quick release, can make some plays, good plays on time. I think he sees the field well. I think sometimes the Indiana offense bothers me because they call a lot of RPOs and do a lot of underneath stuff. But when they let him throw the ball deep and make some throws under pressure, some hole shots while taking hits, like Mendoza is legit. Like I think Mendoza and Moore as of right now are my top two. And if they play at the same level that they're playing right now, going into the end of the year, and they declare, I think both guys should go top 10, personally. I think he's a good enough athlete. Like, he's not a crazy good athlete, but there's some plays he can make off script. I think that's why I prefer Moore, because Moore is just a better athlete, and he also does the good QB stuff that I like. If we wait until after the season, I would totally hate to see Tua go, because I think we failed him with the roster construction, but fresh start is possible with high draft pick. I agree, Mikey. I do think sometimes when you start over from a quarterback, it's not necessarily the QB's fault. Like, you see players around the league, like, look at a lot of the top QBs right now. Mayfield, Sam Darnold, completely failed by where they were first. And sometimes players just need a change of scenery. And Tua's had a better start to his career than Mayfield and Darnold did. So, I mean, I don't know if he'll go somewhere and get better, but yeah, I like Mendoza. I think he does a lot of the I think he's really good poise. And sometimes his accuracy is a little bit off under pressure, but he is willing to rip throws under pressure. Like, he will take a big hit, and I love that. QBs under pressure, that is one thing. Like, we talked about translating to the next level. How do QBs operate under pressure at the college level? Because, like, Zach Wilson is a great example of a QB that was never under pressure at BYU, and he's a player that just didn't translate to the next level because those are players that end up struggling. It takes them a long time to really get going. Like Sam Darnold, another player that kind of struggled under pressure at USC, like with his decision making. It took him a really long time to develop. I think Dante Moore and Mendoza have shown some pretty good ability under pressure, and that makes me pretty big fans, especially combined with all the other stuff. Jalen Daniels, Taylor Green, those are more like high upside guys, not first round guys, in my opinion, Timothy. But I do see some upside there. USC quarterback, I see some upside. I don't think he'll declare either. But I think there's some stuff to work there with him. I just don't think I see first round with any of them at this point. Why not trade Tua to the Browns? I don't know if the Browns would trade for Tua. I don't know who would. The trading Tua thing's tough because obviously Tua is pretty valuable and like teams would love to have him, but like with the injury things, I don't know. If Greer is here, we are going nowhere. I don't care the coaches. I mean, they do have to move on from Greer. And then to the other two QBs, one who we've talked about, a lot of people knew about coming into the season. The other one, a complete surprise. So let's start with Sellers. So yeah, Lenore Sellers. He's another one that I like. I look at that Missouri game. That Missouri game they had was so encouraging. Just from playing a QB perspective. Because yes, he's an elite athlete. He has elite play strength. Like, he has great physical tools, elite arm talent. But the reason I think he can develop, because a lot of these guys that are like this in the past don't necessarily develop. Like, people will compare him to Anthony Richardson. I actually think he's way farther along than Anthony Richardson was as a passer coming into college. Like, I think he's shown great improvement in terms of like marrying his feet and eyes as a passer. That Missouri game was really good in terms of like getting through his progression and playing on time, which I think is huge for his progression as a player. And then also, I think he's actually very accurate. I think he's a very accurate quarterback, which is very big. I think it's just more about consistently getting the timing down as a player. And that Missouri game, I think, showed me a lot. He is someone I wouldn't mind taking a shot on. I don't maybe feel as good about him as a floor compared to maybe the other two that I talked about, but I do like Sellers. And right away, moving on from Tua after the season. I mean, I think it's a possibility. It just has to be, even though like Tua's playing quite well the last two games, he's been one of your better players. It's just something they have to look into. They also could keep Tua. They could draft a QB and keep Tua for a year. But they do have a way of getting out of the contract if they really want to. We thought the guard position would be better this year. To be fair, if James Daniels was playing, I do think the guard position would be better overall. But James Daniels played 5 snaps. But yeah, guard has been bad for sure. Tackle's been fine, mainly because of Patrick Paul. Larry Bourne's been bad. Brewer's been fine, solid, just especially as a run blocker. But yeah, those kind of the top 3 QBs. And then another QB who I really like watching film on is one of my favorite QBs to watch. It's just this is his first season as a starter, and I don't know if he'll declare, but Ty Simpson from Alabama is legit. The fact that this is his first year starting and he's playing with like this level of poise, anticipation, accuracy. He's got pretty good arm talent. Like, he's not a great athlete, but he can do enough off script, I think, with the other traits combined to still be a solid player. He's got very clean mechanics. Like, his mechanics are very good. Like, his ability, like, when he hits that back foot, like, he releases that ball. There are times where I think he needs to learn to throw the ball the way. Like, sometimes I think when he tries to create off script, he will take some unnecessary sacks. So that's something that he can still grow upon. But, like, I think he has a very high ceiling because of this being his first year. But he is solid. But yeah. You think Greer and McDaniel will be gone? They should be. But I mean, I can't say for sure. Ty Simpson is playing some of the best. Like, he might be playing the best QB in college football right now. Like, at least the past few weeks. He's really good, but. Yeah, those are my top 4. John Mateer would probably be the 5th guy for me as of right now, but I need to see a lot of growth. I see a lot of, like, Jackson Dart in John Mateer's game, where John Mateer, I don't know if has the skill set that really translates to the next level. And if you've watched Jackson Dart play for the Giants through 2 weeks, he has been a running quarterback first. Like, he is not throwing that football, like, at all. Like, he is playing. I do respect his, like, toughness and his poise, but he is taking off instantly. Jonah has been so freaking bad. He's by far the worst starter in the league. I mean, he might be. I can't say for sure. I think none of us can really say for sure he's the worst starter in the league because none of us actually have sat down and watched every starter in the league, let's be honest. But he is definitely playing quite bad. I mean, you know, I liked Jonah as a prospect, but as I've said, I would not have ever traded up for him. I mean, if it's up to me, I would probably taken Tyler Warren in the first round. I love Tyler Warren. Second round, I would have stayed put, and then I guess it depends on who was there. It would have been someone like a Tate Ratledge. And if they traded up, I would have probably taken Will Johnson, even though Will Johnson has the injury history. I know that's worrisome. I just thought Will Johnson was a really top-tier player. How do you feel about Iowa's Jenny Dunker? I have not watched him yet, Timothy, but I definitely will. I haven't watched the O-line yet. If the Finns get a top 3 pick, would you take any of the QBs you mentioned or go PP? Yeah, I actually, like, I know some people might be down on the QB class. I actually think a lot of those guys are pretty comparable to me, in my opinion, of what Cam Ward was last year. Like, as prospects. And Cam Ward went 1 overall. So, like, I don't mind any of those guys going top 10 that I just mentioned. At least as of right now, it's still very early in the process, so I can't say for sure. And then also, like, I do agree, Robbie, with the BPA philosophy. I have always been very, very pro BPA. And yet, Tyler Warren is a very good example of being pro BPA, even though Tyler Warren was also a big need because tight end, as we've talked about, is a big need. I mean, they've got good receiving tight end now with Darren Waller, but they don't have an all-around stud. I'm a big BPA proponent. I always think you should go BPA. And I think the Dolphins desperately need to go BPA because they have so many needs. It doesn't matter. Like, you're going to have so many needs this offseason. Just take the best player because it's going to be longer than just a 1-year kind of fix-it situation. But I think the top of the draft class is kind of weak. Like, I think there's Ruben Bain from Miami, the edge defender. I think, like, Caleb Downs is one of the best players, but he's a safety, so I don't even know how he'll go. Spencer Fano from Utah, an offensive lineman. He's kind of a top guy, but even then, I don't know if he's, like, for sure a top 5. I don't think he's, like, a top 5 lock type of player. So, like, if you're picking top 5, there's not that many players I look at as, like, top 5 for sure take them guys, so You're comparing a down QB class to a down QB class, in my opinion. Oh yeah, but I'm just comparing it to the one QB that was good last year. Like obviously, all those guys I just named are better than Dart and Shadur Sanders, all those guys. But like there was one guy that went 1, Cam Ward, who would go pretty high, I think, in most draft classes. And even going back to like the 2024, was it 2020? Wait, yeah, 2024 class, which is Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix went 8, Bo Nix went 12. Like I like a lot of the guys I just named more than Bo Nix and Michael Penix, and those guys went 12 and 8. JJ McCarthy as well, who also went like 10 or 11, whatever it was. I like a lot of those guys kind of more. So I actually think the QB class is better than most people are giving it credit, at least as of right now. Jonah is a bust, no doubt. I wouldn't call him a bust. Obviously, he's playing really bad, but I would not call a player a bust after 4 games. It's just not in my... I will never do that. I think that's... I trust me, I've done that in the past. It is a naive way of thinking because players can change just like that. Different situation, yeah. I'm not going to call a player a bust after 5 games. Peter Woods is another name, Robbie, that would also go very high. But even then, I don't think he's playing as well as I think maybe people projected coming into the year. Like, I don't know, like, there's not a lot of players at the top that are like super like, oh, if you are picking top 3, you gotta have him type thing. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't call any player bust after 5 games. I mean, there's a lot of players who typically don't even play after 5 games, you know? And we're not calling players who don't play after 5 games bust. Let's give them a chance to maybe develop. It sucks that none of the Dolphins players are returning off IR, like, that have been out since week 1. No Austin Jackson, no James Daniels, which would be very extremely helpful. That's where I really want to see Jonah get a chance also, because he's getting more responsibility with how bad of the right side of the O-line is. So I would like to see him have a better right side of the O-line, so maybe they can give him some help, and maybe that would make him play better, but who knows. Yes, very good point. The Indiana-Oregon matchup this weekend, keep an eye on that, because those are probably my 2 favorite quarterbacks. How is Trader playing? It's tough to say, because he's only playing like 10 to 12 snaps per game, and when you're playing safety and you're only playing 10 to 12 snaps per game, safety is just one of those positions you're not involved in a lot, so you have to have a lot of snaps to really get an idea of how people are playing. But I would like to see more of Trader. I actually think Trader would play better than probably Davis and Melifon would have been playing. I would say last week versus the Panthers, Trader had like a really good open field tackle. That was in like, there was one other play. He gave him a catch to Tet McMillan, but it was on a big Bryce Young scramble, and it was like a fucking 7-second play, so it wasn't really Trader's fault. He actually played it pretty well the initial part of the play, and he shouldn't be expected to cover McMillan. But I would like to see more of Trader. He had that forced fumble and recovered fumble in the Jets game on special teams. So I think Trader's been like if I had to like, you know, you go like stock down, stock up, or like still in the middle, like I wouldn't say Trader's stock has dropped at all, but I wouldn't say it's really gone up because he just hasn't played enough. What do you think is going on with Grant? I think it is mostly a technique issue, and then like a maybe like processing of run concepts issue. I don't think it's a physical or athletic issue, because I've seen him when he's pass rushing. There's reps where he pass rushes and he completely bull rushes a guard and, you know, makes him look like he's weak. But versus the run, I think he's just playing with super high pad level. And then I don't think he has like the greatest feel right now for what's going on, because he's so focused on like trying not to get pushed back that he's, you know, not in the greatest positions. And then I just think it's a combination, like it's also some coaching, because it's not just Grant, it's Sealer. Like Sealer's getting pushed back off the ball almost as much as Grant has on some of these plays, and it's really kind of crazy. But I would say, like, if you ask me like Grant or Jonah, who do you feel more like has a better chance of like in the future of playing better, I would say Grant. Especially when you consider snaps too, because Grant's playing like less than half the snaps or whatever it is. Jonah's playing every snap, and I feel like I've seen more flashes and half the snaps from Grant than I've seen from Jonah playing every snap in a game. But he definitely needs to grow for sure. But I will also not be calling him a bust because it's too early. But yeah, the problem with the team right now, Dolphins run defense. Dolphins can't run the ball. Like that Panthers game was the biggest example of can't run the ball, couldn't stop the run. So hopefully that can get figured out. I mean, yeah, Steelers been bad. It's weird though, because like, do I think Steeler all of a sudden is just a horrible player? No, but he's playing horrible, so like it's hard to figure it out. I don't know. I would like to see the Dolphins just start one gapping, allow them to play aggressive, because when I think Grant and Sealer have looked best this year is when they are penetrating. I think, Jordan Phillips can still do the two gapping stuff. Jordan Phillips has been like the best at holding against double teams, holding his own. But the Dolphins are trying to play disciplined and two gap, but they're playing super undisciplined and two gapping. So I would rather just play like one gap penetrating style system, even though it might lead to some undisciplined plays. You're already playing super undisciplined, so I'd rather just at least play aggressive and maybe play into some of the strengths of your players. Because I think Grant is better playing forward. Every draft pick was a bust besides for Zeke Biggers. How? How is Zeke Biggers the only one that's not a bust? Because that one makes no sense to me. Steeler loses Wilkins and then gets Campbell. Now has neither and looks average. I think it's definitely. I definitely agree that it's played a part in Steelers' regression, but I think there's still a lot of plays where like there's plays that are happening to Steeler. Like it doesn't matter who's next to you in those situations. It could have been Campbell or Wilkins. It wouldn't have changed him, getting pancaked 5 yards down the field by a single team block. Like that would have happened no matter who was next to him. So like that stuff seems like kind of unexplainable to me. I really think it's mostly affected him as a pass rusher because usually where Steeler really, thrives rushing the passer is on stunts. And, without, Campbell and Wilkins were really good with him working on stunts. So I think that's definitely affected him. But as a run defender, like it shouldn't have changed that much. At least I don't think, at least from like watching and looking at the film and comparing it, the situations aren't that much different. So how you feel about Chop now? Are you still giving him time? 100%. He's the one player that needs to play way more. I will be making a video on Chop on Friday. Chop played 30% of the snaps against the Panthers. He played 7 snaps versus the run and had 2 run stops. So, like, I don't understand the excuse of him not playing the run. He was one of your best run defenders versus the Panthers. He's one of the only players making run stops versus the Panthers. And when he did rush the passer, he had a couple good reps. It's just he's barely getting opportunities. So I don't understand why Chop's not playing more. Jordan Phillips and Chop need to play more. It makes no sense to me. You think Jordan Phillips will end up being the better NFL player over Grant? Long term, no. Short term, yes. I still believe in Grant. Jonah would be like the one player I have the most concerns about long term. I still believe in Grant though. Just what my projection's telling me from watching him. But I do think the run defense will probably not improve much this year. But I think the pass rush will improve. Jordan Phillips, I think, will be like a solid NFL nose though and have like a long career as a run defender. Shaw made Bryce Young step up when Fitzpatrick got that hick. Yeah, he did. He also had another really nice pass rush I didn't show in the film breakdown. That was like, it ended up being a completion, but he got to the quarterback right away. It was just a quick release. There's not a single player who went back on the Dolphins besides Pat, Paul, and Zeke Biggers. Okay. You have some crazy takes, political. It really fits your name. Why Zeke Biggers? I'm very, very curious, I guess, with the Zeke Biggers kind of thing. Like, what has he done that makes you feel good about him in comparison to anyone else? Because in like even like the non-young guys, like what about Waddle or Achan? You don't want them on the team? Chop was bad versus Carolina? I disagree. He was one of the only players making plays, and he played 30% of the snaps. I would say Chop had like 4 impact plays, and he played like 19 snaps. That's pretty good percentage there of impact. For below the draft, thus you have this. I think the bigger problem with the team was what they did leading up to the draft. Because draft is how you build your team long term. Like, yeah, it'd be nice to have some real short term help, but it is very rare to have like a crazy rookie class. Like, I think this year, like, obviously people are getting some production out of rookies, but there's only like a couple teams that are getting like really good production out of like multiple rookies. I think the problem with what Greer had was what he did leading up and in years past with the team that made you need to rely on having a instant impact. Chop is bad all year, but I don't think coaching staff is proper. I mean, I agree, they're not properly utilizing him. That's why I'm not going to say he's been bad all year, because he hasn't played. But a chance to solidify our line and didn't. I mean, they tried. I think that's something the Dolphins, like people talk about, the Dolphins don't care about O-line. I don't think that's the case. I just think they failed. And, you know, they've also got a little unlucky with injuries, but like they brought in injury-prone guys. They've tried to add O-linemen. It's just a lot of them have not worked. Only a couple of them have worked out. Like Brewer, Paul, you know, those are guys who worked out. You know, Austin Jackson, injury history. They try to add James Daniels. He plays 5 snaps. He's out. Jonah has been a miss so far, but, you know, you're relying on a rookie. You know, they missed on Liam Eichenberg. You know, they did hit on Robert Hunt, but they ended up, you know, letting him walk. They've added plenty of guys over the years. It's just been a lot of misses. What do you think happened to Brooks, Sealer, Chop, Fitzpatrick? Wake up, it's Anthony Weaver. Well, Fitzpatrick been fine. Chop isn't playing. Sealer has been bad. Brooks is still one of your better defenders, but obviously he's not playing as good. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a lot of coaching. But yeah, that's kind of any other. And I think that's it for the QBs I wanted to talk about. There's some other names that are intriguing, but like a lot of the other top guys coming into the season, I'm not a fan of. Drew Aller, not a fan of at all. I would be pissed if the Dolphins ended with Drew Aller. You know, Nussmeier. I think Nussmeier could have been maybe a decent NFL quarterback, but like I don't think he'd be anything better than that, and I don't think I would use a top pick on a player like that. And a lot of the other guys have been kind of disappointing. There's some other intriguing mid-round guys, but as of right now, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. We could have had Donovan Jackson and Kim from Georgia, 2 guards. He screwed us. I mean, yeah. Specifically Ratledge, I mean, but it just didn't work out. But also, would that have really changed anything for Miami this year specifically? I don't think so. Because that means you probably would have, if you took 2 guards, like your O-line might be a bit better, but you're still going to be weak at a lot of other spots. Your team, and then like, would your O-line improving? Like your offense is still, like even with your poor O-line, your offense has actually still been pretty good. Since the Colts game, like the offense has at least been competitive. The defense has not. That's why I'm like, obviously you want to build up your O-line. Do you think Sellers can be a good NFL QB? Yeah, Sellers is one that I would consider. I just don't think 79 is a miss. I just don't think he's a left guard. He should be on the right side. I mean, I wouldn't mind giving him a chance there, but like I really don't think, from what I've seen and what his problems are, I don't think it would change that much. I really don't. Boom, boom, boom. But who knows? Dolphins just need to start going best player available. BPA always. Stop trying to reach for need. Yeah, I think it's less about giving up on Tua and just knowing that, like, if they do end up resetting your front office, then you're going to probably change quarterbacks. What's going on? Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, you can go back, you can argue they could have taken a lot of different people. And sure, that could help. But also, it's been 5 games. Those rookies they did take could improve. You're trying to build, the draft is to build long term. So hopefully they improve. It's not the end all be all. Nothing's written in stone as of yet. So that's why I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and, spend too much trying to, go back and change stuff that we can't change. Artie Burns. I don't know if Artie Burns changed much. Ko being hurt, yeah, obviously hurts you a bit. But even then, I don't know if that would have helped the defense that much because they can't stop the run. Because even then, like the nickel, we've been starting some, Cornell Armstrong in the nickel, but Cornell Armstrong is not good. But Cornell Armstrong was very rarely getting targeted, which is weird. There is a bigger problem than McDaniel. I agree. But I also think they could just completely if the Dolphins finish bad, it's just how it works. You just got to move on. I think McDaniel can still go a lot of other places, be successful. It's time to move on. Yeah, I agree with the trade up. You know me, I hate trading up, especially when I think you could have gotten a player similar level and who turned out to be better. Because I actually slightly preferred Ratledge. I guess they just didn't see Ratledge as a scheme fit, even though I personally just on the field, just watching them on the field, thought Ratledge move a bit better. But I know Jonah tested really well. Yeah, probably do start doing some draft breakdowns. I'm not against moving on from McDaniel, but I wouldn't call him incompetent. I think he's gonna go somewhere and be a good play caller. Anyone on the practice squad? Let me look who's on the practice squad. I wouldn't mind giving Braden Daniels a call up. Let him play right guard. He was pretty solid in the preseason. I know it's a preseason, but I feel like he looked better in the preseason than Cole Strange looked better in the preseason this year. See what he's got. I don't know if anyone else would make a difference. To be honest. Could elevate Theo Weiss, be like a back-end receiver. Giving up on Tua will make us look dumb. I agree. Tua could, if Tua goes to the right spot, he could have a lot of success, but that doesn't change it. I just feel like it would be time to move on if you completely reset. I think he needs a new scenery for that to even happen, though. Too, Ugh. I think it really would depend on where Tua would end up because he is pretty scheme specific, and he also would have to stay healthy, which is, this year he stayed healthy. Let's say we fire Mike McDaniel, who's on your short list. Oof. So most of the people I've seen people talk about. I'm actually not a fan of, like the Grudens, the McCarthys. Definitely not Rex Ryan. Like, no, thank you. Now, if some of the head coaches that were fired, that like like the Harbaughs or the Tomlins, yes, I would be interested in that. There's a few other guys who maybe would be first time head coaches I could be interested in, like the Joe Brady from Buffalo. It's just tough to say. Like, I don't know how they would. It really depends on like how they interview and what their plan of attack would be, like what coaching staff they bring in. That's very important. And it's hard to predict because from the outside, like knowing what type of coaching staff they would bring in, because coaching staff is huge. So I'm just looking to hire the person that has the best plan, someone that can, be a leader. They don't necessarily maybe have to be. If they are more of a leader than maybe like a play caller type thing, then they would have to bring in really good coaching staff. But who knows? Lane Kiffin. I mean, I don't know if that would work. The college to NFL pipeline is a pretty low percentage of working out. Who knows? I'm trying to think of the other options out there because I haven't thought about it too much. Oh yeah, McDaniel has not been perfect, but I also don't think he's been. At least this season, I think overall he hasn't been a major problem. And from what it seems like, there's been a lot of reports that like McDaniel, it seems like it's had from multiple people now where they're saying like it's hard to call plays for a QB that can't get hit. So I wonder if McDaniel's putting it out there like, hey, I have to call plays for a quarterback that can't get hit. Which is also kind of on him because he did want to keep Tua around. So can't really use that excuse for him. Oh, we definitely need a running game. I agree, Justin. That's something I wanted going into the season was run blockers on the O-line. If the run game was good, that would improve everything. Thoughts on Cliff? Cliff is iffy for me because he had a really poor first 10 years as head coach, but has been good as an offensive coordinator. He's one that like I don't know if it would turn out that differently, and I don't even know if he would want to become a head coach. So I'm iffy on that. Like I'm not completely against it like some of the other ones, but I just wouldn't have a good feel for how that would work out. I do agree with that, W. I don't agree with the way of just going the complete opposite every time. Like find the middle ground that works out. You don't need to go and get the complete, hard ass who also will fail just for the opposite reasons of McDaniel. Just find someone who's good at their job. Any failed first time coaches you could see being good for second time around? I'd have to look at a list of names that would be potential. Spagnola, okay, that's one I could see. I would have to go back and look at his tenure, but like he is at least a good like NFL coach as of right now. Like he is a very good defensive mind. It's like some of those other coaches though, like people are talking about, like they haven't coached in almost 20 years. Some of them, like I don't know. I do not know. So much can change though. I mean, who knows? We could be having a different talk in 2 weeks. Let me be on the record. I believe in Tua. He should be let go to start over. I hope he lands somewhere fun. That's basically sort of my thoughts, Dro. I think it's just the nature of the NFL. The time has run its course. I think it's time to move on, probably for both parties. Even though Tua's playing well, don't get me wrong. Tua played really good last week. Even if he does end up staying and you kind of keep a lot of the same structure, quarterback should still be something you consider heavily if you are picking high in the draft, because of still the potential injury issue. Even if he doesn't get injured this year, it's something you still have to consider. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, if you missed, there are some QBs I do like. mainly the four, if you missed out: Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, Lenoris Sellers, and Ty Simpson. The only problem with that QB classes right now is like I think 3 out of the 4 might not even declare, which would suck because I would like to have some options if they are going to be picking at the top of the draft, because we don't even know yet. So much can change. It's still only been 5 weeks. Would you keep McDaniel as OC if you could? No. I think McDaniel can be a good OC somewhere, but I just don't think like you kind of, if you're going to completely reset, you just gotta restart. You gotta completely change up the whole vibe. Tua in Minnesota, yeah. Not a Sellers guy. See, I think people look at Sellers and think he's just a runner. I think that Missouri game showed me so much growth in terms of like his ability to play on time. And I think he's actually quite accurate as a quarterback. It's just a timing thing. If he can get down the rhythm at a more consistent basis, and that Missouri game showed me that he could do a lot of things at a very high level, like a lot of high level NFL quarterback level things. I think if Sellers is the riskiest one of those 4, but I think if he's the one in the right situation, it could be special. Yeah, McDaniel. I've seen Eagles fans want McDaniel like because they hate their offensive coordinator. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Hurts might be one of the worst fits for McDaniel. He would have to like completely change up what he does. He can read defenses. Like I think people see Sellers and think he's like Anthony Richardson. I actually think Sellers can read defenses better than a lot of like those typical super athlete strong quarterbacks. But he does still need development, that's for sure. He is also 20 years old. Yeah, I understand that, Drope. It's just if I'm at the top, and let's just say the guys I do like are gone, he is one of the ones I would be willing to risk it for. And I usually am also kind of risk avoidant for the most part with QBs. But I think he's one it also depends on it does depend on who the coach is, because he is also pretty dependent on that. But I mean, that Missouri film is about as good as film you'll see as a quarterback all year, like in terms of translating to the next level. Making all the throws, timing, getting off one read. Honestly, let's see if I can find it. Hopefully I don't get flagged. Copyright's been really bad this year for most people. Like I've seen people who said they can't even make an NFL video without copyright. But yeah, he definitely needs some potential, or some development. Let me find the clips that I want to. The ones that I think translate super well. Because obviously he has all the physical tools. I want to find the ones that I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. Nope, these are all the deep throws. Come on. I mean, those are great plays, but not the ones I'm looking for. Okay, here's one. Let me see. I think this is one, okay. So here we go. Starting to one side of the field, look at the safety, find the backside dig, all within rhythm. Like this is something that usually translates really well for quarterbacks. Boom, clean, rhythm, backside dig, accurate throw over the middle. That's one of the ones from this game that I liked. And then I think here's another one. Yeah, this is what I want to see. Ability to work under pressure, feel this, reset in the pocket, step up, find a guy over the middle. Good rhythm in the play, read a defense pretty efficiently. Like that Missouri film is so good, and there's a lot more plays from that game that are very similar to that. Cliff Kingsbury, yeah. Maybe if they brought in like a Joe Brady, because we've seen how Joe Brady kind of is with Josh Allen. I like Sellers at the end of the first, not towards the top. He's probably my last towards the top, but I can definitely understand that. To me, the more the end of the first guys that I think will go end of the first are guys like John Mateer. Maybe someone like Nussmeier will go there. But yeah. What's your thoughts on Tua in Minnesota, Ryder? I mean, I think that could definitely work out. What's his face? The coach over there is very good with his quarterbacks. He's made them found a lot of success. that would probably be one of his best landing spots in terms of what they do over there, because it's not exactly the Shanahan McDaniel system, but it does have some similarities to it. But yeah. Any thoughts on Arizona QB Sam Leavitt? Not a huge fan right now as an NFL quarterback. I think he's someone that definitely needs to return. Yeah, Sellers also might not declare, like I talked about. Sellers and you still believe in us? No, I'm just saying I think he could still go there. I'm more on Dante Moore and Mendoza are my favorite. I like Dante Moore. I like Mendoza a lot. Then Ty Simpson from Alabama is really winning me over, but I also don't know if he'll declare. Ty Simpson looks really good in my opinion, in terms of things that translate. And then Sellers is the other one. The rest of them, I don't like. I might not even need to talk about them. Mateer is interesting, but like I see some Jackson Dart to Mateer, and I'm not a Jackson Dart guy. I don't know if he has the NFL level mental that you're looking for. Chances they keep McDaniel too and just move on from Greer? I mean, I don't know. Realistically, if they'll do that. Like that's like if that was what if they were that would be if they were only going to fire like if they were only going to get one of those three, that would be my like ideal thing. But just with the reports coming out and people think like Greer has something on Ross, like Ross can't fire Greer because he has something on him or something. That just makes me feel like I have no idea what's going to happen. What do you think of Carson Beck? He's been better this year. He's another one that I think has risen his stock, but he's also another one that like his NFL ceiling, in my opinion, is similar to like a Nussmeier. Like I could see him being decent, maybe middle of the pack NFL quarterback, but more likely, I think like really good backup. And I just don't want to take that in the first round. So if it was like day 2, I could get on board. Any chance we could trade for Penix? I doubt it. I'm pretty sure the team likes him. I would say Mendoza is more athletic than that AB. He's not like a great athlete, but he's got a little more juice than like he's not. I don't think he's a complete statue. He's definitely more of a pocket quarterback, but like he's not Jared Goff. Like I think he's got some similarity to Jared Goff, but I actually think he's more athletic than Goff. I joined late. What do you think the Dolphins need to do? Because they are not. I mean, there's a lot of things they need to do, but I don't know how a lot of those 6s. I stand corrected. Chop did have a good game for Carolina. Hey, yeah. Chop. I'm going to make a video on Chop on Friday. So tomorrow, Jordan Phillips. Chop on Friday. Chop played very little snaps and was one of the only positive playmakers in that game. So he definitely needs to actually play. Do you think Bain goes first overall? Possibly. He has a if it's a non-quarterback, I think Bain has the best chance of going first. I think he's clearly like usually if it's not a quarterback, edge or offensive tackle are the highest. I don't think there's an offensive tackle worth it going first. So Bain, I think, has a very good shot of going first overall. If it's a say like the Titans pick first. Either they trade out or they take someone like Ruben Bain. But yeah. I'm going to say not good. Yeah. I mean, there's so much to talk about that they can pick. It just depends. I feel like Chop had the only tackle for loss in the Carolina game. He might have. He definitely had one. He had back-to-back run stops. He had like a stop for like 2 yards, and then he had a negative loss. And then he also had a good pass rush right after that. But yeah, Chop needs to play more. I don't know why he's not playing more. He's clearly one of the most talented guys on the team. And I think he's pretty much been held back. One, because of the injury that he had, but also like the playing time. Heck no, 49ers will trade Mac Jones. But what about Mac Jones? I mean, he's played well, but I think that, I still don't think Mac Jones is going to be like anything more than like a Jimmy G. Your video, why do you think they're not playing him? I mean, they should. I think I would like, Yeah, I wouldn't say bad. It's definitely been a lackluster from Chop, but I think it's mostly outside factors. I think Chop, when he has played, has been fine. It's just been very limited. Oof. Not Nico Iamaleava. No thanks on Nico. I've watched a lot of Nico when he was at Tennessee. I know he had a good game last week, but yeah, he is very talented, but I just don't see him. But I would like to see Ethan Bonner out there. I would like to see Ethan Bonner and Brents out there because I think they have talent and I think they would make less mental mistakes than Jack Jones. But also right now, you don't even have a nickel on the roster. So who's going to play nickel? Get him out there. And I think Ethan Bonner would have played earlier, but he had that hamstring injury at the start of the year, and I think that hurt him. I think he would have been in, and then he would have probably held on to one of the starting jobs once like Storm Duck went down, and then you had you had a couple other corner injuries. But yeah, I would have liked to see Bonner get a shot. At what point does the fire sale begin for you? I'd probably give it a few weeks, Robbie, personally, because I think your next 3 games are all still winnable. So I think it kind of depends after that. And then I think the trade deadline is around that area anyway. So probably once we get closer to trade deadline. Because I'm not going to just throw it all away. Don't think Jack Jones has been bad. I mean, Jack Jones might have been the worst player on the field versus Carolina. He was one of them. He was definitely one of them. He was bad. And, you know, but we knew with Jack Jones, it was going to be very up and down, you know? He was going to have his moments, but he was going to have the negative plays. It's just, maybe you want to try someone else, give him some chance at consistency. Plus, let's see what you have at some other people, because you're trying to fix some long-term stuff here too. Thoughts on Tua at this point in his career? I think, you know, I think Tua's been solid to good at this point in his career. I think, you know, the injuries have hurt him. I think he'll never quite, you know, maybe reach that super high tier level. He'll have moments of playing like a super high tier player, but like overall consistency, I don't think you'll ever see that, because he'll also have his moments of, you know, negative plays. Like, I think he's been good, but it's probably time to move on. Kenneth Grant, Jordan Phillips, and Zach Sealer have been massive disappointments. Showed versus Carolina. I agree on Grant and Sealer. Don't agree on Jordan Phillips. I think Jordan Phillips is like one of the only people holding his own at the point of attack on the D-line. He is the only person on the D-line holding his own at the point of attack. At this point, rooting for my favorite players on the team to ball out. I also agree with that. You know me. Jalen Waddle balling out as wide receiver 1. Love seeing that, getting his opportunities. Waddle is one that I've been very high on for a very long time. I know if he gets the right opportunities, similarly to how I kind of feel about Chop. Chop, give him the opportunities. I know he can make some plays. They're just not giving him very many opportunities. And that's what happens with a lot of players. Sometimes players aren't necessarily, some players get overrated because of their opportunities. Like, sorry to say this, Jarvis Landry was an overrated Dolphin because he got way too many opportunities for his skill set. And that made him become overrated in the fan base because they gave him so many targets. Players get underrated because they get lack of opportunities. Jalen Waddle kind of became underrated, even league-wide, because of his lack of opportunities the past couple of years. And Jalen Waddle is, don't say this lightly, Jalen Waddle is way better than Jarvis Landry as a NFL football player. Much better. It's not even close. And that's no hate on Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry was a solid player. They just made him into something he was not. And I know a lot of people love Landry. What is this thing in the bottom? Members only live stream? I don't want to do that. Tua, Waddle, Achane, Jalen Phillips, Chop, I'm rooting for. Yeah, not all development is linear. I agree with that, W. That's a very good point. Not all development is linear. I think Chop and Paul are very good examples of why, like, it's never the end of the road for these rookies, and you should not just give up on them after 5 games. It is fair to be critical, but I don't think it is fair to say, like, oh, it's over, they're awful, they're bust. Because last year we saw with Paul, didn't play very well. He probably had like one good, like, full game, and that was against the Texans. And then going into the year, I was like, I think Paul's going to show a lot of growth. I think he has that mindset, and he has been one of your more consistent players, specifically in pass pro. I would like to still see more from Paul as a run blocker. And then Chop also shows hey, was really bad his first half of the season. Second half was one of your best players this year. Limited opportunities. Now not playing as bad as his first half last year, but definitely not playing as good as his second half of that year. So just a lot of up and down. How do you feel about Devontae Parker? I mean, depends. He was never... I don't think he ever quite played up to his draft slot, but he was not a bad player for Miami. I think those types of players who are more jump ball receivers are never the best guys to take super early. I don't think they always translate super well. But yeah. Jordan Colbert called up from practice squad. Did that just happen? What are they calling Colbert up to be the nickel? Backup nickel? I mean, it probably... Did they call him up, signed him? I mean, I guess they would have to. I mean, yeah, I do think he'll improve, but I don't know if he'll ever... I don't know if he'll ever be a great run blocker. I don't know if that's in his thing. Let's see. So they signed Jordan Colbert off their after rock to the practice. So they signed Jordan, and they also signed Kendall Sheffield to the practice squad. I wonder if this is just now Colbert will play special teams, and then they might elevate Sheffield. While maybe Jason Marshall's still on IR, they elevate Sheffield for a few games, and then Sheffield plays the nickel. Because Sheffield was going to be a starter to start the year, and Sheffield has nickel experience, so that might be the answer that they're going for is Sheffield. That makes sense, I guess. They don't have many options. Yeah. I do agree that most of the blame, in my opinion, most blame I think falls on coaching. At least for the young guys. Obviously you can't completely not give the players some blame, but a lot of players that don't work out at the NFL level either failed because one, they didn't have the mindset for it, and I don't think that's the problem for the Dolphins rookies because I think they seemed at least from the outside, it seems like they're very bought in. But usually the ones that don't work out is they just ended up in the wrong situation. Or their coaching wasn't good early. Maybe the coaching got fixed. They go to the right spot. They end up developing. Yes, sir, Minka at nickel. I would like to see, Minka at nickel would probably be Minka. Melifonwu is big nickel. You could put Melifonwu to bet on, maybe match him on tight ends. Trader might play some nickel. They're probably going to have a lot of 3 safety sets. I like a lot. Ted McMillan has been way better than I thought. He's an example of opportunity overrating him, or do you think he's the real deal? That was a big... I think Ted McMillan's the real deal. Yeah, I don't think... Because he hasn't had, I think he's in a pretty good spot to, get a lot of opportunities, but I don't think he's gotten, crazy amounts of targets. But I do think he's the real deal. He's just, to me, McMillan, I know I talked about, jump ball receivers, but McMillan, I think, is a good enough athlete to still be enough of a separator and enough of a yak guy that combined with his ability at the catch point makes him be pretty good. Because I think the other guys like a Keon Coleman, I don't think he's really good after the catch. I don't think he really ever creates any separation. And then I don't think he's even that consistent of a jump ball receiver. I think that's why he's kind of been very inconsistent for the Bills. I think McMillan's very consistent at the catch point, but also has enough juice to still be athletic, make some plays on his own, get open. Yeah, I think McMillan's the real deal. Good player for sure. He also made some very good catches in that Carolina game. That one, the 1 4th down, which was early in the game that Bryce Young evaded. That was a really great catch from McMillan, low and away like that. Could we do the LB coach? Yeah. I mean, LBs are... the linebacker group is tough. Jordan Brooks made some good plays for Carolinas, but also had bad plays. But he was also one of the only one that made some good plays. I think Jordan Brooks needs some help, though. Because the linebackers playing next to him have been very, 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 very bad. And I think he's had to overcompensate a bit. And then he's not playing as well as he was last year. That's kind of the story of the defense. It's rough. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about, unless you guys have any other questions. So yeah, Jordan Phillips breakdown tomorrow, why he should play more. Chop Robinson Phil breakdown on Friday, why he should play more. And then Saturday, I might have like an A-Chan or a Waddle video. Because I haven't made a video on A-Chan all year, and then I also kind of want to make a Waddle video just because it was his first game being like the main target, and he had a good game. And then yeah, we'll go into next week, see what happens. I don't have high hopes, but also the Chargers are playing very bad football as of right now too recently, so you never know. And it's in Miami. A West Coast team traveling to the East Coast, that has usually not been kind to the West Coast team, so Miami at home, maybe something happens. Maybe they get a win. The Chargers O-line is really, really bad right now. And it also should be interesting for the narratives because, you know how it always is. Tua versus Herbert, people are talking, even though, to be honest, is Tua versus Herbert really the big point of that game? Not really. I think the changing point of the game will probably be the who plays better out of the fronts. One more question. If coaching change happens, who do you like as the interim coach as it goes well under that hypothetical? Do we seriously consider hiring him? I would probably go like Bevel. Because I feel like it would have been Weaver, but with how bad the defense has been, I just don't think you can reward Weaver with that. So I'd probably just go Bevel. And then I don't know if I would unless the Dolphins had like some crazy turnaround with Bevel and like it can sink to you the whole season. I don't think I would seriously consider him as like a full-time option. But I think Bevel's probably the safest, best option to go with how this season's played out. Hope for a season turnaround. Dolphins beat Chargers or no? I mean, I'm always going to be a little somewhat of an optimist. I'm going to be hoping for a season turnaround. Do I actually expect it? No. But your next 3 games pretty winnable. Like, let's look at the Dolphins schedule. You got the next 3 what? Dolphins. Chargers, Browns, Falcons. Like, I don't think any of those teams right now are playing great. Browns have a really good defense, but their offense leaves a lot to be desired. Falcons, they just lost to the Falcons. They lost to the Panthers 30-0 only 2 weeks ago. Like 3 weeks ago now. Then you play the Ravens after that. Sorry. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Then they play the Ravens after that. Then the Bills, which should be tough. Commanders, tough. Saints, very winnable. Jets, winnable. Steelers, Bengals, both winnable. Buccaneers would be tough. Patriots, kind of winnable. Like, there's some winnable games left on the schedule. Will they win them? I don't know. But who knows? Okay. I got to stream. Okay. Later, guys. Peace.